What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys are from Free Love, man.
What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Saw Sports. I am your host, Honcho. Make sure you're following Saw Sports on all the proper social medias listed down below. Today we're going to get into 5 takeaways from yesterday's game with the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans. It's going to be 5 things that I noticed, and of course, as always, every time we do a top 5 list, that there's always a bonus at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. Let's stop wasting time. Let's get into it right now. All right, so y'all know how we do this. We go from 5 to 1, from worst to best. I want to talk about a top tenured Texan getting taken advantage of, and that is Jonathan Joseph. Jonathan Joseph has been able to exploit quarterbacks throughout the years, especially those with little experience, rookies or however you want to call it. But yesterday we saw Conley and the rookie quarterback Gardner Minshew take advantage of Jonathan Joseph. Again, he was playing far off the ball. I don't know if that's a Cornell thing. I don't know if that's a J-Joe thing because he's getting older. Maybe he doesn't have the juice, trying to keep things in front of him. But one or the other has to go. And either way it is, I've liked Jonathan Joseph from what he's brought to this team the entire time he's been here, since he came over to free agency several years ago. And he's been a contributor. But he's getting a little long in the tooth. He's getting a little up there. And eventually you have to start thinking past Jonathan Joseph. What do you do if you're not able to retain the services of Bradley Roby with Jonathan Joseph probably being still your better of the cornerbacks that you have on this roster? And with him getting up there, with him not going to be able to probably give you too many more years, if too much past this season. You know, Lonnie Johnson, we like him. You know, they seemed hesitant to play him early on, but he made a couple of plays. You start to wonder, what is the Texans' next move? So they have to start thinking about the future. I'm not saying it's time for him to retire, but you're starting to see his game change a little bit. Again, I don't know how much of that is an influence of ROMEO and him just playing by the book, or how much of this is Jonathan Joseph getting a little bit older and not being able to do some of the things he once could. So that's my number 5. Let's go ahead and get to number 4 right now. All right, so my 4th takeaway, man, I want to talk about Romeo Crennel, and Romeo Crennel should probably retire. I've been calling for Romeo Crennel's head since the middle of last season. A lot of people said you're over-exaggerating, you're blowing the situation out of proportion, but I think you're starting to see a trend. Romeo Crennel's defenses have not been showing up. Without quality talent, he is not making the move. It's individual guys that are making plays, but as a whole, this defense is not looking good. The bend but don't break model is cool, but that's not going to get you where you need to be. We saw a lot of bend but don't break defenses last year who may have carried their teams to a decent position in the playoffs, but then when it came down to it, they weren't able to hold on, and that's what gets you losses. You know, this game yesterday came down to basically inches, and thank God for, you know, players making plays, because otherwise this could have been an ugly game and we would not be feeling the way that we're feeling today. So my thoughts are, it's about time for Romeo Crennel to call it a wrap. He needs to hang up the clipboard. Same thing I kind of said last week, because you saw it looking ugly. I don't see anything different. Again, we have heard some allegations or possibilities that, you know, Romeo could be the scapegoat if the season doesn't go the way that it's expected. You know, he could be the guy to blame for Bill O'Brien to retain position, but we're not going to get into that. That's something bigger than just today's game or yesterday's game. But let's go ahead and get to the 3rd takeaway. That's just my thoughts. Romeo needs to retire. All right, so the 3rd thing I want to get into is from yesterday's game is the offensive line overhaul. And what I mean by this is that eventually this line will start paying dividends. You saw at points in time in the game that Deshaun had time to make throws, that he wasn't under the level of pressure that he normally was. Now, we can talk about the Jaguar players that weren't there and weren't available, which again, I felt like could have turned this into a different outcome had that Jags team been a bit more healthy. But we don't want to get into that. But without certain guys there, we were able to get a look. Again, Roderick may need a little bit of work. There's still holes in this offensive line. But again, when you're always switching pieces in and out, which is on Bill O'Brien, which is on Mike Devlin, because most of us, I think most people who've been paying any attention said, hey, these are the 5 guys that you need to have out there in the beginning of the season. But instead, you know, we know Titus was hurt, so we're not going to count that against them. But, you know, Henderson and Johnson situation, I think that's something well known. Fulton and Martin, we can definitely talk about that whole situation, but they just went ahead and extended Martin. So don't count on Fulton taking the center position anytime soon. And with Martin having that guaranteed money, don't expect anybody taking his job anytime soon. So you can look forward to that. But I do believe, and I've been one of the biggest critics of this offensive line, that I do believe if they can get some consistency from the coaching, saying, hey, these are the guys we're going to run with, instead of, well, let's try this guy, switch it out every week. Then I think eventually it will pay dividends. They still gave up a lot of sacks, still have a lot of issues to work on. But again, that comes with continuity, that comes with consistency, that comes with coaching, triple C's. And if you're not getting any of those things, then it's going to be difficult. But the addition of Tunsil, great plus. Howard got some issues to work on. I've been telling you that since he was drafted. He had a couple penalties against him. The tripping, y'all can try to justify. Oh, he was trying to keep his balance. Missed me with the bullshit. It was a tripping call. So a lot of things that need to be worked on. But again, I think this offensive line in the long run will get better. It's just going to take some time. It might have to extend past this season, but I expect to see improvement as this season does go along. But let's go ahead and get into the number 2 takeaway. It gets better from here, I promise. Stay tuned. So probably one of the last moves that the Texans made prior to the season as far as trades, and that was swapping HYDE for Rankin to the Chiefs, may have been the biggest dividend payer. And I know we went out and got Duke, and Duke is going to end up probably being a third round guy. So you spent a mid to high level pick, depending on how you look at it, depending on who you ask, on Duke Johnson. But yet you went and got rid of a guy who was not good in Rankin and got HYDE. And HYDE has came in immediately, been here less time, has been paying dividends. I mean, he's been breaking yards off in big chunks. I think he had, 20 carries for 90 yards, which is commendable. You can respect that. And so HYDE has been a valid addition, a value addition, and again, like, been one of the better players this season, one of the more consistent. I mean, it's only been 2 games, I understand that. But for what people were expecting and saying, oh, his career is over with, that might have been the craftiest move that the Texans GM committee management conglomerate made prior to the season. So you went out and you did some other things, and they were cool, and you kind of did them in a rush because, you needed these things, especially after Lamar went down and some other stuff that happened. But this move might have been the smartest, might be the best ROI, if you will, best return on your investment. It really wasn't much of an investment because you gave away a penny stock, and you might be getting, I don't know fucking stocks at Blue Chip or something. I don't fucking know. Anyway, but I ride with HYDE. Carlos Hyde has been paying dues. I think that is the smartest move so far. One of the smartest moves that the Texans have made, the best value move. So with that being said, let's get into the number one thing, the number one takeaway, and make sure you stay tuned for the bonus after that. And my number one takeaway from the Texans versus Jags game, man, look, Whitney Merciless has not gotten better. Whitney Merciless has not improved. No mercy or more mercy. Whitney Merciless has been the same guy as he's been here. Blame Romeo Crennel for playing him out of position. You can say, well, there was Clowney. Well, if you knew that you have 3, and we always talk about what happened with Clowney, Merciless, and Watt would get on the field together, but now we'll really never truly know because that never was maximized. That potential was never maximized. You blame that on Crennel. Personally, we've been saying for years it should have been a 4-3. You have Whitney and Clowney on the edges. You put Watt inside with Reader. You have a dominant line, but this defense caters to JJ because otherwise, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Why you couldn't, if you know you have the talent to do that, you have the proper linebacking core, you have the secondary. I mean, that's not going to change much. I don't know why you wouldn't do that, but now, certain players are gone, and so it doesn't even matter anymore. But now you see the reemergence of Whitney Merciless, and a lot of you last year were talking about, oh, he's washed, let's trade him, he only had 4 sacks. But it's because of Romeo Crennel, which I said earlier in the takeaway, probably needs to retire. I mean, you have talent like this, and you're not playing them to their strengths. And this doesn't just happen on the defensive side of the ball with the Texans. It happens on the offensive side of the ball, too. Especially on that line, Mike Devlin. I'm not saying any names. But you see a pattern here. Guys, people are saying, oh, let's not extend him. He doesn't need to be extended. We need to be worried about extending other guys. Merciless has been one of your better pass rushers for years. For years. You can skip the year with injury. He's been a double-digit sack guy before, and then you move him out of position. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you take him away from his strengths? So I'm not even surprised about Merciless. Said it in the beginning of the year that he would reemerge. He would be a top pass rusher. He would be a lot of people, oh, he's washed. Let's trade him for whatever. I bet a lot of you guys are regretting that now. No mercy or more mercy. Y'all let me know how you feel. Are you surprised by Whitney Merciless? And any of the things that I said, make sure you hit that comment section below. Are you surprised by Whitney Merciless? But let's go ahead and get into the bonus take. And I got a question right after this I want you to check out. So before we get into this last and final bonus takeaway, I got a question for you. Preferably, especially if you're from Houston. But no matter where you are, wherever you're watching this video, I want to know, for the Houstonians, for the Houston area folks, where is the best burger in Houston. And if you're not from Houston, you've never been to Houston, let me know where the best burger is that you've ever had. You know, I might get around and get to check it out. I want to know where the best burger place in Houston is, or the best burger place you've ever been to, wherever you may be from that you're watching this video. But make sure you're following Sauce Sports HTX on all the proper social medias. Shout out to everybody who made it this far in the video. I'm your host, Honcho, man. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're following all the roundtable links in the description below. And we're going to try to get back on regular streaming because you can see the background's a little weird. I'm trying to make some decisions with that before I move forward as to how we're going to approach that. But let's get into this bonus take. So for my bonus takeaway, I want to talk about Justin REID, the most underappreciated safety in the NFL. A guy who didn't get the love, didn't get even in the consideration, in most people's opinion, for Defensive Rookie of the Year. When he came in, he made outstanding plays. He was just as good as any other rookie in the league, especially defensively. Late round pick, basically was a first round grade guy. The Texans lucked up and got him. And I don't think fans appreciate what he does. Many games last year he saved the Texans' ass, made big plays. We talk about the Browns game where he saved touchdowns, and it might not have been close, but that could have changed the game. We talk about the Redskins game, for that pick that was essential to the Texans winning that game. Texans didn't play a great game that game. He's made key plays that have had an impact on this team winning games, and he does it again yesterday. The biggest play of the game. He wasn't having a great game, wasn't playing outstanding in the Saints game. A lot of guys were relying on him. You know, they're newer guys, again, so that tells you that certain guys weren't prepared to be on the field because they're looking for him for calls and to where to get placed. But when it comes down to it, the game is on the line. We're talking about football is a game of inches. Justin REID made sure that Fournette did not get those inches. I mean, it was that close. I mean, depending on the angle in which you looked at it, you could have called it almost either way. But it was very close. And thank God for Justin REID and his football IQ, his high IQ. Again, he's a Stanford kid. Football intelligence and making a huge play, the biggest play of the game when it counted. Because the Texans team overall, both sides of the ball, did not play a great game. You can pick out some individuals who did good, but Justin REID saved this game because the Jaguars were in the game the entire time. A game that they should have never been in. With all the pieces they had missing with the quarterback replacement situation, a game that they should have never been in. The coaches let this team down. A lot of players may not have stepped up and been in the position that they should have been, but Justin REID, when it was all on the line, did what he needed to do. Came up huge, got us a divisional win, and you know now we're 1-1. So I hope everybody's buying Justin REID something nice because again that game could have went a completely different way. Shout out to Justin REID. That's my bonus take. Hey, Sauce Nation, y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. I'm your host, Honcho. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool, but most of all, y'all stay saucy, and I'm out.
Perfect.